The man's entire body was scorched by flames, but he still maintained his fighting stance. A veteran cleaning up the battlefield saw he was still alive and rushed him to a nearby field hospital. Because over 90% of his body was burned, after examining him, the doctor determined this tank soldier wouldn't survive more than 2 hours. But out of humanitarian concern, they still gave him basic bandaging. What no one expected was that not only did this tank soldier survive, but in just 3 days' time, his injuries were completely healed, a true medical miracle. This incident quickly caught the attention of his superiors. Unfortunately, though, the tank soldier had lost his memory. An officer learned from the documents left in the tank that the tank soldier's name was Ivanovich, and that he had received the Outstanding Tank Soldier Award multiple times. The officer wanted to let Ivan retire and go home, but at that moment, the front lines were in critical condition and desperately needed excellent tank soldiers like Ivan. So Ivan took a train to the front lines. Seeing the train hauling back countless destroyed tanks, Ivan seemed to remember something. He approached one of the tanks, stroking it while muttering to himself. At that moment, a passing officer noticed him and questioned what he was doing standing in front of the tank. But Ivan told the officer that this tank had been destroyed by the German White Tiger. The officer asked him to give a reason. Ivan said he could communicate with tanks. The officer naturally didn't believe what he said and thought Ivan should be sent to a psychiatric hospital rather than the front lines. But the adjutant nearby told the officer that he had also heard legends about the White Tiger. This German tank was like a ghost, appearing suddenly during every battle, destroying all Soviet tanks, and then disappearing without a trace. Later, a captured German prisoner also confirmed the existence of the White Tiger. Soviet High Command ordered that at any cost, this White Tiger must be destroyed. And so a modified T-34 tank was born. It had thicker armor and a larger caliber gun barrel. After rigorous rounds of selection, the Soviets chose 3 of the best tank soldiers. Ivan was naturally among them. The commander looked at the 3 small men before him and questioned their abilities. To dispel the commander's doubts, Ivan decided to demonstrate their skills. The 3 soldiers quickly climbed into the tank. After starting it up, they did a drift, and the gunner immediately loaded a shell, destroying a haystack a kilometer away with 1 shot while moving. The whole process took less than 10 seconds. Now the commander fully believed in Ivan's abilities. After confirming the tank crew, word came from the front lines again. The White Tiger had appeared once more, destroying 10 Soviet tanks, then disappearing without a trace again. Looking at the penetrated tanks, Ivan concluded the White Tiger was hiding deep in the forest. Soon he had a plan: use a scrap tank as bait to lure out the White Tiger, then ambush it from behind and destroy it with 1 shot. Then they covered their tank with branches to hide it and sent out another tank as bait, deliberately making loud noises to lure out the Germans' White Ghost Tiger. This legendary German tank had already destroyed hundreds of Soviet T-34s. Soon the White Tiger took the bait and aggressively drove out of the forest. The Soviet captain was scared stiff when he saw it. This tank, both in appearance and gun barrel caliber, completely crushed the Soviet T-34. The captain quickly followed it, pulling out his camera to take photos for research back at base. But at the critical moment, the camera jammed. Then the White Tiger drove out of the forest and fired a shot at the Soviet bait tank. The bait tank was instantly destroyed, the tank driver blown to pieces along with it, completely powerless to fight back. After the White Tiger scored its hit, it was preparing to retreat. At that moment, the Soviet T-34 tank hiding in the mud pit under Ivan's command burst out. The driver made a sharp turn, accelerated out of the bushes, and got behind the White Tiger. Then quickly adjusted the gun barrel, locked onto the White Tiger's position. The gunner immediately loaded a shell and fired at the tiger. But the White Tiger's armor was way too thick. This shot barely scratched it and couldn't damage the tiger at all. Just as the tiger was preparing to counterattack, Ivan quickly commanded the tank to hide behind the destroyed decoy tank's side. But they were still spotted by the White Tiger. Then the White Tiger began a fierce assault, firing shot after shot continuously. Seeing the decoy tank about to be penetrated, Ivan knew they couldn't just sit there and wait. So he quickly ordered the driver to reverse, then move right to attack the tiger's weakest spot, which was below the turret, using mobility and agility to destroy the White Tiger. But something strange happened. After the T-34 tank rushed out, they found the tiger had vanished. The gunner searched through the observation port for a long time, but couldn't find any trace of the tiger. Ivan had no choice but to order the gunner to risk his life and open the tank hatch to observe the surroundings. The soldier cautiously rotated the tank hatch, carefully poked out half his head, quickly scanned the area for 1 second. Seeing nothing, the soldier quickly closed the hatch and dove back into the tank. And just like that, he completed the reconnaissance. Meanwhile, the German Tiger tank was right behind him. The gunner returned to the cabin and confidently told Tank Commander Ivan that the White Tiger had left. But the next second, the White Tiger fired a shot from behind. It blasted the T-34 tank into scrap metal. Fortunately, there were no casualties, but the White Tiger disappeared again and never showed up. The Soviet commander following the Tiger's retreat tracks discovered the Tiger had disappeared in a swamp area, so the commander concluded the White Tiger had sunk into the swamp, but even told the commander that the god of tanks told him this was just the White Tiger's trick. It would definitely attack again. The commander thought Ivan must have been knocked silly by the Tiger and was already talking nonsense. Then the Soviet commander ordered a general offensive. Dozens of tanks and a mighty force prepared to charge the German positions. But right at that moment, the White Tiger appeared again and fired shells continuously at the Soviet tanks. The White Tiger never missed. In just 5 minutes, it destroyed more than a dozen Soviet tanks. The Soviets suffered heavy casualties. Just as the White Tiger was preparing to retreat, Ivan quickly chased after it in his T-34, pursuing it all the way to near a village. The White Tiger disappeared again. Ivan commanded the tank to slowly drive into the village, rotating the gun barrel and looking around. With his keen observation skills, Ivan quickly noticed something off about the barn ahead, so he immediately ordered fire. Sure enough, there was a tank hiding inside, but it wasn't the White Tiger. It was a German Panzer IV assault gun. Ivan quickly destroyed it and continued searching for the White Tiger. Suddenly, Ivan sensed something was wrong and quickly commanded the tank to turn around. Sure enough, the White Tiger was right behind them. The White Tiger, billowing thick smoke like a roaring beast, fired a shot at the T-34 tank. Fortunately, it just grazed them. Ivan quickly commanded the tank to drive into a nearby wooden house, using the house for cover. Loaded a shell, then floored it and burst out. The White Tiger fired again, but still couldn't penetrate the T-34. Taking advantage of the White Tiger loading ammunition, the T-34 launched an attack, blowing off the Tiger's turret with one shot. The Tiger instantly lost its combat capability and could only choose to retreat. Ivan wanted to press the advantage but drove headfirst into the mud, causing the gun barrel to get clogged with mud. Seeing the Tiger about to disappear, the T-34 tank quickly fired, but the gun barrel exploded instead. Ivan could only helplessly watch as the White Tiger slowly disappeared before his eyes. This was the closest he'd ever come to destroying the Tiger. After this battle, the White Tiger never appeared again. On May 8, 1945, the Germans declared unconditional surrender. The commander found Ivan on a grassy field and told him the war was over. The White Tiger would never appear again, but Ivan told the commander his mission was to destroy the White Tiger. The captain helplessly turned and walked away. When he looked back again, Ivan and his tank had vanished.